Hi, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm your host, Crystal Fry. I want to welcome you all in and thank you all for joining me tonight, whether you are watching me here live on Facebook, whether you are watching me over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am so excited. Tonight, we are going to be doing part 4. We're going to be wrapping up this 4-part series on fear that we've been working through over the past 4 weeks. So tonight we're going to be wrapping that up, but I want to say welcome in to those of you who are joining me live, and for those of you who are watching in the replay, welcome. Tim, it's so good to see you. Tim is always the first one to pop onto my lives. I love it. Tim, I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. And you've been here for all 4, this will be number 4, for the previous 3 lives that I have done about fear, and you've told me that they've been very helpful for you. And so I love hearing that. I'm so glad that it has been helpful. Tonight, we are going to be finishing it up with casting out fear. So I want to invite everyone to go ahead and share this video, tag a friend. Don't forget to like the video, all the things. If you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss anything. Okay. Now, I will do just a very brief recap for anyone who has not been following, like Tim has for the last several weeks, about the topic of fear that we have been talking about this week. I broke this into 4 parts. So part 1, we discussed the anatomy of fear, what it is, where it comes from, lots of the biology behind it, all that kind of good stuff. Part 2, we discussed how to recognize that fear in your life, right? What does it look like? How does it show up? Are you settling for less? Are you procrastinating? Are you being indecisive? Are you using perfectionism? All the things, right? Part 3, which was last week, we talked about the cost of fear. And that one, I enjoy doing it for a couple of reasons. One, because it's important that we understand the price we are paying, okay? Because that's really what it is. Our lives tend to come down to transactional things, right? Transactions and relationships. And from a transactional standpoint, we make payments of our time, our energy, our effort, our income, our resources. We make payments to things that we want to have in our lives, consciously or unconsciously. Fear happens to be one of those things that we make payments to. We probably don't realize it, but we're making payments with our peace of mind, with our time, with our energy, with our joy, with our fulfillment. All those things, we are actually making payments to fear to keep it around in our lives. Just so you know. If you want more about that, go back and watch last week's episode. Tonight, we are going to talk about casting out fear and how we overcome the fear that we face in our lives. So again, I will invite you to share this video out, to tag a friend, to tell your bestie about it, someone who needs to hear about not only someone who really needs to get rid of this stuff because it's junk. So let's jump into it. Now, first and foremost, let me dispel a myth about getting rid of fear. Spoiler alert, you can't actually get rid of fear. It's always going to be with us. We're always going to have it. Unless you are simply, nope, not even then. I was going to say, unless you are simply hanging out where you are and you're never going to move, you're just going to be stagnant, like you're going to be a plastic house plant and collect dust. Even then, you still have fear because guess what? The fear is why you are a plastic house plant and you refuse to grow and do anything, okay? Fear comes to us. And remember, I'm not talking about fear of bears or spiders or, tigers, oh my. I'm talking about the fear of doing something that's outside of your current little comfortable or uncomfortable zone. You could be miserable right now And your comfort zone could be a place of misery for you. But out of fear, you will refuse to move. And I say you, but I'm saying this because I know I've experienced it. And I also know I'm not the only one on the planet who's been through it, because I'm not that special. I'm not that unique. I am unique, but I'm not that unique to think that I have been in a place stuck in fear, unable to move, and no one else has ever experienced that. You guys, that's not true. You know that. You know that. So we're always going to have it with us, especially when you reach a point where you want to change something. You want to grow in some area of your life. And as I just said those words, I am reminded of a message that I was watching actually earlier today from Pastor Stephen Furtick. And he was talking about the woman at the well in Samaria and how it struck him that Samaria just kind of rolled around in his head some area, that we all have to go through some area. Well, that's the same thing here in fear. And here is the key, because if you can't get rid of fear, if it's always going to be with us, if we don't do anything about it, it's going to keep us stuck where we are. It's always going to be there. We can't get rid of it. So what do you do about it? Well, in order to overcome that fear, you have to go through it. And that is what made me think of the message that I was listening to earlier this morning, talking about some area. They had to go through some area. We all have to go through some area of fear in our lives. That's just the way it works. Whether you're looking at applying for a new job, whether you're looking at starting a relationship, ending a relationship, building a partnership, starting some kind of new venture, going back to school, changing your hair color. Listen, it's not just fear in the big areas of our lives. It's fear in the daily. It's fear of not sending someone a text message to let them know you're thinking about them. Because maybe it really just doesn't matter. Or maybe you haven't talked to them in a long time and you want to reconnect, but you don't know how. And you feel like maybe it's been too long, but you know what? Here's the thing. Fear is what keeps you from taking the first step forward. Because if you can't take the first step forward, you're not going to take any other ones either. And fear is what will keep you being a plastic houseplant. That's going to make a really good graphic. How do you know you're sitting in fear? Because you've become a plastic houseplant collecting dust. How do you know you're growing? Because you're a big tree that has grown from an acorn. Anyway, you guys know I'm visual, so I get all kinds of images while I'm up here talking about things. I share some of them with you and some of them I keep to myself. So anyway, all right, so we know that we have to go through fear in order to overcome it. We cannot simply wish it away. We cannot simply pretend to be an ostrich and stick our head in the sand and just believe that if we can't see it, it's not real, right? Sorry, I got stuck on an ostrich for a minute. We cannot simply wish that it will go away and then open up our eyes and magically it's gone. We have to go through the fear. Whether it's something small, making a phone call, sending out a post without agonizing over how perfect it is or isn't, taking 2,700 pictures before you get the right one with the right camera angle. Come on, social media people, you know what I'm talking about. That's little, right? That is minute, inconsequential stuff. In the grand scheme, that doesn't even matter. Or whether it's something big, like buying a house, quitting your corporate job, walking away from a long, troubled, maybe toxic relationship. It's in the little things and in the big things. We have to go through it. So the good news is you don't have to go through it alone. And I'm going to talk about 3 things that are going to help us push through fear. There's lots of things, but it's three categories. All right. Tools, people, and prayer. Tools, people, and prayer. That's how we're going to get through fear. I'm going to break this down for you. Tools. We're going to start with tools. Lots and lots and lots of tools are available to help you with fear. What do I mean by that? All right. Well, let's start with the self-awareness of all, the stuff that I've talked about the last couple of weeks, the self-awareness to know when you're facing fear. When are you experiencing some type of fear? Are you seeing that, oh gosh, I'm really procrastinating on this. There must be something that's really bothering me about it. Maybe there's a little bit of fear in here. Okay, what do we have there? Learn your triggers and your responses. What do you do when you find yourself in fear? Is procrastination the action that you take when you feel fear? Could be. Totally logical, right? Because if we're afraid of doing something like making phone calls or, whatever, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you may be afraid of, we will procrastinate because we don't want to do it, right? Makes sense. Makes logical sense. Not helpful, but it makes logical sense. And knowing that is half the battle. So learn your triggers and your responses. What are they for you? I like to procrastinate when I am fearful. And I also like to use perfectionism when I am fearful, and a host of other different things. The key is to figure out what it is for you. Learn your triggers and your responses. Once you know that and you can recognize when you are in a situation where you are facing fear, and you guys, let me know if this is resonating with you. If you're understanding what I'm saying, if it's making sense, let me know if this is resonating with you. So a few of the other tools that you can use when you find yourself in that place where you may be dealing with some fear. Breath work. I know, sounds kind of woo-woo, but believe it or not, your breathing is an incredible way to help control anxiety, bring your blood pressure back down, bring you back into a state of calm, especially when, we feel panicky within our body. Our body's natural responses to fear. When our adrenaline maybe kicks up a little bit, when our anxiety kicks up a little bit, breath work, deliberate breathing. It can be as simple as a slow, deliberate count of 4 on an inhale and an exhale. You've heard people talk about count to 10. A lot of different things that you can use when you're angry are same tools that you can use when you're fearful, because you're trying to control an emotional response and bring it back to a sense of calm. All right, so breathing, breath work. Another thing, Tim, thank you so much. This is hitting the target with you. I'm so glad that it is, my friend. Another thing to help you, a tool, meditation, meditating on that which you are fearful of, meditating on how you want it to be, meditating just so that you're quiet and your brain can hush. Have you ever sat down for 10 solid minutes? And I have friends who meditate for 30, 45, 60 minutes. Not everyone can do that. That's okay. If you can't start with 10, start with 5. Start with 1 and work your way up. The solitude of meditation is a wonderful thing because it actually allows your brain to have a break, to be quiet, to not be on an endless roller coaster of ups and downs and what ifs and oh my gosh, and man, my jeans are too small, my butt looks too big, no one's gonna like my hair, oh my gosh, I can't pay my bills, I can't feed my kids, oh my gosh, yellow is an ugly color. Listen, the roller coaster and cycle of thoughts that happens inside your head all day long is insane. Meditate. Give yourself some time for your thoughts to be quiet and let it just be still. And you'll be amazed at what that can do. Even if you can just do it for 5 or 10 minutes a day, you'll be amazed at what that can do. Okay, a couple more tools, affirmations. So again, self-talk, what you think about, you bring about. So if you spend all of your time in a consistent state of, I'm no good, I'm afraid, what if this is going to go bad, I can't do this right, you're bound to manifest it, okay? You're bound to bring it about because that's what you're focusing on. Instead, if you're looking in that place where you're telling yourself that you are courageous and that you are awesome and that you can do hard things. I did a post earlier this week, said, I can do hard things because of a project that I'm working on. It's really kind of a pain in my rear, but it must be done because I want the result. So I'm willing to do the hard things to get the result that I want. Affirmations, motivation, goal setting, visualization, being able to see what it is that you want. You know, you may have heard a lot of people, me included, talk about your why and how important your why is when you're taking on a new venture or you're deciding that you want to do a thing. The why of it is incredibly important because the why will continue to drive you when you don't want to do the thing that you need to do. Your why is very powerful. So those are some tools: breathing, meditation, motivation, affirmations, goal setting, learning your triggers and your responses so that you know how to deal with the situation when it comes up. The second thing I mentioned, people, right? The second category. So I talked about 3 tools, people, prayer. The second one, people. You need people around you to help. Plain and simple. We were made for community. Doesn't always have to be a worldwide community. It can be a small one, but we are made for community, right? We're not made to do life alone. So some of the people that you may consider to help you through issues, to help you on your life journey, to help you through instances of fear, a coach. This is absolutely a shameless plug for me. If you need help, call me, let's talk. A mentor. Coaches and mentors are different. I'm not going to get into the difference of them right now, but both of them are incredibly impactful when it comes to helping you understand, recognize your fear, understand what it is, and help you to push through it. They can also help to give you that motivation and encouragement that you may need in those tough times when you're in the middle of something that is, shall we say, less than pleasant. Okay? Coaches, mentors, your board of directors. Some of you may remember, I don't know, a couple months back, I did a live on who is on your board of directors and who should be there. Those trusted advisors, those people that you trust. You trust their instincts. You trust their, their motives. You trust why they are in your life, that they are there to bring you good and not harm. You know, they are people that you surround yourself with who are going to positively influence and impact your life, right? So your board of directors, your trusted advisors, people who motivate you. Because sometimes, let me tell you what, I may not be in a place where I really feel like I need to reach out to my coach and be like, hey, look, I feel like I'm drowning right now. I need a little help. Side plug, if you're looking at a coach, make sure they have a coach too. Okay. It's just like a therapist. Your therapist should have a therapist. Your coach should have a coach, just so you know. But I may not be in that position where I feel like, I need a life raft. I need a life preserver thrown out to me. But I may be in a place where I've recognized, you know what? I'm doing the thing again, right? I'm procrastinating. I'm doing X, fill in the blank, whatever it is. I may just need to simply get on YouTube and watch someone who motivates me to give me the extra little push that I need to keep going forward through the thing that I'm trying to go through right now. So that's people, coaches, mentors, your personal board of directors, trusted advisors. Notice I left out friends and family. I did that on purpose because, yes, you may have friends and or family who belong on your board of directors, who are your mentors, who are your trusted advisors, okay? You may absolutely have them. I will not tell you that you shouldn't. But I purposely didn't say friends and family in this group of people to help you get through fearful situations, because friends and family, it's a different relationship. And sometimes, not all the time, okay, do not crucify me over this. Sometimes your friends and family aren't the right people to help you push through fear. Because sometimes your friends and family don't actually want to see you change and grow because it makes them uncomfortable. I don't say that to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm just being honest and truthful. It's not always the case, but it is sometimes the case. And so don't make your friends and family the first place that you go to try to push through fear, unless they are our trusted advisor. They are on your board of directors, okay? Unless you know that you have that really good relationship where you can go to them and take that situation to them and you know that they're going to help you push through. All right, so the third thing that I talked about, yes, Tim, unfortunately, it is oftentimes very true about friends and family, but we'll save that for another day. The third thing that I mentioned that I talked about was prayer, okay? There is an incredible power in prayer. Pray for the courage that you need. Pray for the strength to take the next step and the step after that. Pray for the vision to see what that is. And then pray for peace about it, all of it. Listen, yesterday I did a video in my group, my Empowered Successful Women of Faith group. I did a live on there because during the month of June, I'm doing a Bible study of sorts on fear and what the Bible tells us about it and how we can use that to push through fear. And yesterday, the scripture that I talked about was Philippians 4, verse 6 and 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Now, I don't know. There are lots of scripture references to fear, but this one in particular, and I talked about this yesterday during that live, it's here's the action, right? Take everything. Do not be fearful in anything. Do not be anxious in anything. Do not worry about anything, but take all of it into prayer and make your request known. And what happens when you do that, what you receive from that is the peace that passes all understanding, right? When I left my corporate job of almost 13 years, when I made that decision, I stressed over it. I wrestled with it. I prayed about it. Oh gosh, there was just so much that went into that decision. But when the decision was finally made, and I said, okay, yes, I hear you. Here is my resignation. I called my boss. I let her know. When that was finished, the peace that I had about that decision is unlike anything I've ever felt in my life. I have never felt so much confirmation physically in my body, the way mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, the way I felt after that. I've never felt anything quite like it. And that is how I 100%, without a doubt, without a single shred of doubt, knew that I had made the right decision for me in the right time. So, most importantly, I say all of that, I'm going to wrap us up with most importantly, just take one step at a time. That's really all we can take anyway. Have you ever tried to take 2 steps at a time? You know, like you step one foot and then step the next foot. Have you ever tried to take 2? It's not a step, it's then a hop or a jump if you're using both feet, right? But just take one step at a time. Just the next step. That's really all you need when you are trying to push through fear. One step at a time. And make sure that you're continuing to walk forward. Sometimes you take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes it's like that. I get it. I've done that a lot in my life. But the key is to continue taking those steps forward. Even if sometimes you fall back a little bit, continue to take those steps forward. And when you face that fear, whatever it is, and my friends, you will have to do this over and over and over again in your life. Because remember, I said at the beginning, you don't ever get rid of fear. It's always there. Even if it's just hanging out around the edges, even if you're in a place where, you feel really pretty good about a lot of the things that you're doing in your life and you don't feel paralyzed, oh, yes. 2 Timothy 1:7. Tim, it's so funny you bring that up because that's actually the first scripture reference I did on Tuesday in that group that I talked about, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Thank you for that. That's another piece of confirmation for me. So, but as you are pushing through your fear one step at a time, it's very likely that you will discover when you're on the other side, could be while you're going through it, but maybe after you get to the other side, that it wasn't really that scary at all. I know that has been the case for me countless times on numerous occasions. That once I've done the thing that I was afraid of doing, once I have faced that fear and I've pushed through it, I haven't been a victim to it. I haven't let it hold me captive. I've taken one step at a time. I've pushed through it. When I turn around to look back on it, really wasn't that big of a deal anyway. So with that, I will close and say thank you all so much for joining me tonight. If this has been helpful for you, make sure that you share this video. Like it if you're over on Facebook. If you're over on YouTube, make sure that you like it, share it, and hit that subscribe button so that you will get notified the next time that we are live or we post any more new content. So thank you all again for joining me, those of you who are live and those of you who are catching this in the replay. This is Crystal Fry. I am your host of Friday Night Live. I'm here every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I wish you all a lovely weekend, and I will see you all real soon. Take care.